In today's episode, we have Jonny Armandary, who is going to share how he has taken his passion for scoring music for films and turned it into an online course business. You will also get to hear the differences between broad and niche audiences, how social proof plays an important role for your online course, and why trying to do too much at one time is a big mistake. And now, on with the show. Welcome to the Online Course Igniter podcast, where you'll hear from successful course creators and how they were able to turn their passion into a thriving online business empire. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the podcast today. We have Jonny Armandary from soundtrack.academy, who is going to talk about his journey into online courses and is in a really cool niche, the film scoring niche, which I think is just a great interest in itself. So how are you doing today, Jonny?
I'm good, Jeremy. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a good day, and I'm happy to have you on the podcast. And we've been friends for a while, and it's great to see your growth. And I love your blog. You have a really cool layout on your blog with the way that you have it, the text and the fonts and stuff. I think it looks really cool.
Thanks.
So, yeah, man, I'm excited to have you here and just want to hear your story and talk about online courses and the strategies and the things that have worked and the things that haven't worked for you. But before we get started, let's just hear a little bit about yourself. What were you doing before you found online courses and really got into online business?
Wow, that's a good question. I'll try and keep it short. So I was a film composer. That's what I studied at university. I went straight into film composition and had some good successes early on. And then decided I'd take up a little bit of teaching on the side. Sort of thought maybe an hour a week or something just to top up or to lay a foundation so I could carry on composing. But that quickly became full time. So I was teaching at universities for quite a while before the fees and everything tripled in the UK, and it just really made it difficult for the kinds of people I wanted to teach to attend anymore. You know, it kind of outpriced them a little bit. So around about that time as well, I mean, it's a long story, but there was all kinds of stuff going on in my life. One of the things was leading us to want to leave the UK and move to Canada. And at that point, I just started saying yes to a few more things. And another one of our mutual friends contacted me and he said he does online courses and would I be interested in working with him on an online course? And I said, yeah, why not? So we put together this film music course. And I can remember being in his house, and I knew nothing about online courses at the time. And I said to him, like, you know, what is this world about? Like, I mean, how do you make money from it? Do you cover much of your rent or anything like that? And he sort of looked at me and kind of said, yeah, I mean, I do all right. And it's only then that I really discovered the whole world of online courses and how, you know, people are not only helping and being able to access a whole load more people, including the types of people you might want to teach and you might want to work with, but also actually sustaining themselves from it as well. So yeah, we ended up moving to Canada. I looked a bit more into online course world, and then the move to Canada didn't work out. So we returned to Europe. I'm actually in Poland now. Not sure how long we'll stay here for. And that's when I decided to set up soundtrack.academy and go all in.
Awesome. Very cool. So when you started out, what was the first course that you created? Was it with him or did you create one on your own?
So the first course I made was with him, Thomas George, if anybody wants to know who it was, who's a great guy. And that was a film scoring. It was film scoring in Logic Pro X. So particularly looking at Logic Pro X, because that's really what he focuses on. He's got all kinds of courses on, well, Ableton and Logic and very much the music production side of things. So the film scoring side complemented that quite nicely. And then once I decided to sort of dab my toe in a little bit further and have a go myself, I decided to take the simplest route possible for me. So I figured that as a first course, just to test things out, I would basically create a digital version of stuff that I'd already been teaching at college and university. So the first course I made, the one that was sort of translated over the easiest, was actually a popular music history course, which goes to show how kind of little I knew about studying what people might want, because it's, you know, pop history. It's pop, people want to learn how to write songs, not so much study the history of pop, but it's there, and that's the one I made. And it was a good course to make because it was easy for me to start with. It was,
Hmm.
I already had all the slides, I already had everything there. It was just a case of figuring out how to translate it into digital content. And then that allowed me to learn, what works when you translate courses and what doesn't work when you translate them, so that I was ready when I actually started moving more towards film scoring. Yeah, I'm always learning new stuff and I'm always testing out different things as well.
Yeah, that's the life of an entrepreneur, right? Something breaks or something doesn't work, and you just got to find a new way around it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great getting started with someone else. I feel like, because they can kind of help guide you along. A lot of people kind of go into this industry and they just go at it alone at first, and you can really waste a lot of time and really do a lot of things wrong. So it was cool. I know Thomas, he's a great guy, and I'm sure he really showed you the ropes and showed you how to do some things. Once you created the history course and you realized that, that wasn't really going real well, you were like, did you decide, okay, I should probably pick something that I know more about, or try to find an audience that would be better for film scoring?
Yeah. So the Pit Pop history course was, like I said, I hadn't really set up the soundtrack.academy by then. It was just a foray into seeing what worked. And then I suppose it just felt like the natural move for me. I mean, I had a film scoring course with Thomas already, and it's what I've done, it's what I studied, it's what I was passionate about, what I'm passionate about. So yeah, the film scoring thing, it's we were just talking about this before we actually started recording on the call, but it's kind of I came in the backwards route, I suppose. I started with what I know rather than what I know people are asking for. So I kind of started off with, I knew that I wanted to do film scoring. And since then, it's been kind of a rocky road, I guess, in terms of working out exactly what I'm going to teach. Because when I started in film scoring, but part of film scoring is things like music production and music orchestration and music composition, which are all really big and really popular topics. So I did create a few courses around those topics as well, thinking that, I would try and reach a broad audience by doing a sort of general string orchestration course, for example. And that course, I sell on marketplaces, and it does all right. But it's from then on is where I've really decided to niche down and really focus more specifically on film scoring, and that's where the academy is moving to. So initially, it was kind of my main website, and the main stuff I was doing was around film scoring. And the idea of it at soundtrack.academy is that I would eventually be able to expand out as well into all forms of soundtrack, like sound design and writing songs for movies and all kinds of things. That was the initial plan. But actually, I've gone the opposite way, and I really tried to focus more and more specifically into one area instead.
Okay, cool. So you're narrowing that focus, and I would assume that you're finding maybe a better audience, because we all know that, the more you niche down, the kind of tighter audience you're going to get. You might not find as many people, but those people who are looking for that information are really invested, right?
100%. I mean, the moment that I really started talking and really focusing on film scoring and talking in that language and really, focusing on that, is the moment that people actually started replying to my emails and getting in touch with me. And I suddenly felt like I actually have some kind of small tribe building up around the academy.
Right, definitely. So you set up the soundtrack.academy website, and we're going to start general. You kind of start niching down. Now, are you putting your courses from the marketplaces on your own website also, or are you directing people back to the marketplace?
At the moment, directing people back to the marketplace. I don't know how much longer that will continue for.
Now, how is that working? Because I know, talking with others and from personal experience, that when you send traffic into the marketplace, it actually can be very beneficial, because they see that as a trigger to that your course is doing well, that you're sending people from the outside. Are you seeing that also? Are you seeing an increase in enrollments or revenue from sending people from your website to the marketplace?
It's interesting, that question, because I don't have anything set up at the moment, which is it's like any sort of evergreen funnels that direct people. I don't really set up everything so that if someone sees one video on orchestration, they then get a lead magnet on orchestration, and they're then directed straight into or directed towards the orchestration course. I don't really have it set up in that way. I tried that to start with, but I found I wasn't really getting much conversion. So I felt it was better to just try and get people onto the list in the first place. So really, when I say I direct people to the marketplace, it's more that it's more for course launches and any kind of sales that I do, for like Black Friday sale, for example, or when I release a new course. And I find that helps. I think it helps get the. I mean, I've never done it. I've never not done that, so I can't say I've A/B tested it. But I think it helps get the foundation set when the course is launched.
Mm-hmm.
You get the course out there. You get a good chunk of students straight away. Some reviews straight away from people that know, like, and trust you already.
Mm-hmm.
So the reviews are more likely to be favorable from the get go, and that just helps the course show up in the marketplace. And like you say, I presume it helps me with my ranking on those marketplaces as well, so that then more people find it organically from then onwards, basically.
Oh yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. I like the point about the reviews. I never thought about that. That you have a much better audience probably on your own website than just random people searching on the marketplace. So the people coming over from there is probably going to give you a much better rating because they already kind of know you. That's awesome.
And I think that helps with later reviews as well, because when someone sees a course is 5 stars and they see loads of hype around it, I think when they purchase it going in, they're even if it's might not be quite as good as they might not think it's worth that much. I think there's some psychology behind that, where they just think it's a 5-star course. Other people think it's a 5-star course, therefore it must be great. So they're more likely to leave a positive review as well. You see that on Amazon products and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, social proof in that terms is very powerful. That's why it's important to, if you're on a marketplace, getting those reviews, and if you're off of a marketplace, you have to mimic that in some way. And the best way that I've found to do that is with testimonials. Having other people say, especially if you can get a video testimonial. I mean, written testimonials are great, but if you have a landing page with someone who's got a video saying, "Oh, Johnny's awesome, you got to take his course," that's essentially doing the same thing.
Yeah. Do you know much about using things like Trustpilot on websites as well?
No, I haven't looked into it. Is it like a review or rating type application?
Yeah. So it's Trustpilot. It's like a website where people can, I think, initially set up obviously for trust, so people can trust companies and things.
Oh,
but I've seen a few people including, your Trustpilot rating on your landing page or whatever, to, again, which is another form of social proof, I guess. It shows that you're trustworthy and people like the course, I guess.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'll have to check
I've not
that out.
tried it, but it's something that I was toying with the idea of for my next venture.
Now, you said you were thinking about that you probably wouldn't have the courses on the marketplace forever, that you'd consider putting them on your own site. Is that something that you're moving towards, is getting all your courses on your own platform?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like speaking in definites because I know what I'm like, and I have a problem with shiny object syndrome. Where, like most people, I set off down one path and then I see how it goes, and if it's not quite going the way that I want, then perhaps I'll change direction a little bit. So, but the plan for now is the marketplace model is kind of propping me up all right for the time being. I'm busy launching in the process. By the time this podcast is released, it should have launched already as well, but launching my kind of flagship course on my own site. And I'm hoping that becomes the main thing for now, to be honest, and I can refocus on driving traffic there. And if it does, then hopefully I can move away slightly from that marketplace model, purely because I don't think I can serve people as best as I'd like to on those type of things. And, there's the broader courses are perhaps bringing people into my world that aren't going to be that interested in the other stuff that I'm doing as well.
Yeah, that's kind of a double-edged sword, is when you have those broader courses. It's great because you're bringing in people who might find you who have never heard of you before, but on the other hand, you might be getting the wrong audience too.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there any reasons why you want to get on your own platform? Is it just to, like you said, you're able to serve that student at a lot better by having them on your own platform? What do you mean by that? Is it just being able to communicate with them better, or?
Yeah, I did a beta launch for this program earlier this year, and the engagement from the students was amazing, and something you don't see so much from marketplaces. Now, I feel there's a balance, there's, because I mean, if I'm sure people would love it if I wanted to take one-on-one calls all day with them and be live in groups with them all day and everything like that, but I don't have the time to be doing that. But at the same space, being able to see people go through a program and know where they are in the journey and kind of see the results they're getting and feel like you're part of those results is much nicer than, someone just buying something, taking the course, and you never knowing who they are, where they are, what they're doing. So it's nice to have that contact a little bit more with them.
Yeah, definitely. There's I've seen some people have communities like a forum type community where they will offer a course and then have a private community, not necessarily a Facebook community, but like its own forum. And I think that works out really good. I forget the name of the program, but there's one that does it really well where you it's a much tighter knit group of people, I think, than just, some of the random people you would get on Facebook or the marketplaces.
Sure. It's not something like Mighty Networks, is it? I've
Yeah,
heard
that's
about
the
that.
one. Yeah, Mighty Networks. Yep. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen a couple of people utilize that very well.
Yeah.
One company uses Mighty Networks and offers a private podcast, which I thought was really interesting because I love podcasting, and
Yeah.
it's a great way for them they have their course. I love this idea, so I got to tell you about this. They have this course, and a course when you make the course, things are going to change. If you're talking about software, unless it's a very evergreen topic, like maybe piano, that the piano hasn't changed in hundreds of thousands of years, but most things are going to change a little bit. Especially this website, I think, is into marketing and online business, so things change pretty rapidly. So when you record those videos, 6 months, a year down the road, some of those things have changed. Well, the
Mhm.
podcast, they have a private podcast where they keep you updated with the newest information. And I thought that was a really cool technique to keep something a little more evergreen. Things that are going to change, they might not be able to go back and record those lessons every week, but they can do a weekly podcast and say, hey, this is how we were doing it before. We've changed our methods a little bit. I thought that was a really cool idea.
That's great. I heard that like micro subscriptions are going to be one of the next big things as well. That type of thing. People subscribe to a podcast. They pay a small monthly fee to get the content or to get extra content as well.
Yeah, using things like Patreon, where you're providing free information, but also giving people the opportunity to subscribe to you, I think is really powerful. I'm actually subscribed to some Patreon accounts. So I think it's really crazy. There's so many different ways that you can kind of go about it. So when you were starting off, thinking about the audience who's listening, people who want to create a course or, are struggling to create courses or they need help marketing or selling their course, thinking back to when you were just starting out and everything was new to you, what are some of the mistakes that you made that you would caution others about who are starting out?
Don't do a pop history course. No, but I mean, seriously, the lessons learned from that is again, it's something we briefly chatted about before, and it's the same advice that everybody tells you, but for some reason, until you've made the mistakes yourself, you don't want to listen to it. But it's find out what people really want in your industry or in your niche, in your space first, and then create the content that serves them and that helps them. And I think being genuinely giving, people really appreciate that. I mean, the communication I get, it's almost like the reciprocity principle. The principle if people want to repay you. I've had people email me who have said they've purchased one of my courses purely because they liked all of the free content and the stuff that I'm putting out, and they like how genuine and honest I am. And they've purchased the course almost with no intention of really taking it, just that they want to give back. So I think those are the big things. Be genuinely giving and make sure you're offering stuff that people actually want. And again, to reiterate a point that I made earlier, I started off by thinking if I went broad, that would be better. But then actually by going more and more niche, I found more and more success, I guess, and more community.
Yeah, I like all of those. I want to see if I can try to hit all of these. So the first one you mentioned researching. We'll talk about in a second, but you were talking about giving, and it made me think about. We mentioned Pat Flynn from the Smart Passive Income earlier, and he's someone who I followed for a very long time and didn't buy anything from him. Now I might have like not known that I clicked an affiliate link and purchased something, but I couldn't tell you that. But he's a type of person that I always really liked his style, and I always kind of liked what he stood for. And he gave away so much free, great content that I found myself years later when I would go buy some software or maybe something online that I knew that he had an affiliate link for, I would actually go back and purchase from him because I
Yep.
felt like it's the least that I could do. Like this guy like really changed my whole world with his podcast, and he probably made money off of advertisements and sponsorships and, different ways. But I just felt like, I could go back and sign up. I'm going to get this software anyways. I'm going to get, ConvertKit anyways. Let me go back to Pat Flynn and sign up under his affiliate link. So I totally agree with the reciprocity. Facebook groups are a wonderful way to build a community, have conversation with your audience, and provide tremendous value to your raving fans. But did you know they can be a great way to generate leads too? I use a program every day called Group Convert in my business that takes the answers when someone joins my group and immediately pushes them to a Google Sheet, something that had to be done manually in the past. That means that I can ask for an email address and one of the 3 questions in exchange for a lead magnet, newsletter, or other offer. Group Convert then takes that email, sends it to a Google Sheet, which can then be sent off to my email marketing software, automating my Facebook group into a lead generation machine. If you would like to learn more about this amazing software to generate leads for your business, then head over to onlinecourseigniter.com/group convert. That's onlinecourseigniter.com/group convert. And then you talked about, researching your market. So that is definitely one of the main things that I hear a lot is that we have a passion or we have a hobby or we have something that we really love and we learn about this world. Oh, you can make money teaching or you can make money creating a product online on something that you know. And so the first thing that we do is we say, okay, what do we know that we can teach? And we go out there, we spend all this time making this thing a pop history course and realize that really no one really cares about that, or it's not the right market, or you're not in the right place. Like a pop history course might actually do really great somewhere else. Maybe we're just in the wrong place. So I always believe that it's pretty important to go and ask those questions and find out what the market wants and then create that product. So what are some good ways that you would think of to do that? Like how could we go out and get those questions answered before we make an online course?
That's something that I'm terrible at, but I kind of know what I should be doing. I'm not very good at doing it. But talking with people in your niche, a lot of the people that I follow to learn about creating stuff from, just get people on the phone, post find a Facebook group in your niche, in your area, and just post in there and say, I am, be honest, I'm looking to do sort of some small 15-minute consultations with people. I can help in these kind of areas. If anybody's interested, let me know and we'll jump on a call, and then just ask them questions that, find out what they're struggling with. You do actually, it's not just market research for you. These are actual kind of mini consultations. So just take note of the kinds of things people are asking, and then see if there's any recurring themes that are coming up, and go deep when people ask you stuff. Sort of try and find out where they've looked to find that information before. Where are they searching? Because not only that tells you whether or not the information is there, but it also tells you where your target audience are looking for information. So that will tell you whether or not you should be creating a YouTube channel or blogging or a podcast, whatever else.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really like the idea about the consultation. It seems like, if you could get someone on the phone and really have a one-to-one conversation with them, not over Facebook or texting, you'll probably learn a lot more.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. I think people in this world, when you start trying to find out what to do in things, everybody's talking about automation and making things evergreen and building these massive sales funnels and all that kind of stuff. But there's some advice I heard recently that said, just to start with, you have to do the things that don't scale. You have to do those one-to-one things, the thing that does take up your personal time, that you're not going to be able to create an automatic system for. But right now, that's what you have to do, the stuff that doesn't scale, before you can then do the evergreen systems.
Yeah, that I'm in a coaching program myself, and he talks about in that program that you have got to have a converting offer before you, like you said, before you can scale it, before you can
Yeah.
go evergreen. And if you can't get your offer to convert at the very simplest level, then all the funnels, all the graphic design, all the things in the world aren't going to help because the foundation of your offer just isn't strong enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's great.
that's cool. I really like that. You're in my group, and so I'm always asking questions and
Yeah.
trying to pick people's brains to figure out what they want, so that you can give it to them. I mean, that's what this is, right? Like, find out what people want to learn, and then go teach that to them. Now, that's not to say that you can't say, I love guitar, I'm going to create a guitar course. Yeah, you're probably going to find people to buy your guitar course. But if you can go talk to those people and find out specifically what they're looking for and then present that back to them, you're probably going to have a much better chance of a success, right?
Well, I think that's part of that niching down thing. I think we get caught in sometimes, particularly when you start out and you're thinking about doing a course on Udemy, for example. You look at the other courses on Udemy and you see the complete masterclass to whatever, guitar playing. And it's like they're trying to teach you everything, literally everything from start to end about guitar playing. And it's a 25-hour plus course and whatever else. And it's like, that doesn't help people. It doesn't get results. And it's not what people are looking for. It's like maybe people are specifically looking for guitar on very specific alternate picking techniques, for example. So that's what you create. You create the course on alternate picking techniques, just as an example. And it's much more focused. It's much more niche, and it's enough. That's what people are really looking for. And that's the mistake I made, starting with film scoring. You'd think, right, I'm going to teach literally everything about film scoring. And I see lots of people in my niche doing this, where it's, right, we'll teach you how to build up your studio, what sample libraries you need, how to build a template, everything else. And by the time you've gone through all that stuff, all the setup stuff, you're kind of burned out, and there's not enough real transformational content at any point of that. It's just one massive splurge of information. Whereas really, the niching down more and more and more and more. Like every time I create a course, I get more and more niche. And every time I've finished creating it, I think I did too much. I should do even less and even less and even less. Not because I want to give people less, but because I know that there's just too much information in there for people to really take action on. It means that it just becomes a wash of information rather than, okay, first do this, and then do that, and then you are where you want to be. I've taken you on that transformation.
Yeah, I like that. One thing that we struggle with as online course creators is, completion rates. And what you described, I think really, really defines a lot of why people don't complete courses, is because they are so overwhelmed with all the material. And the way you described it, some of that material might be unnecessary. Someone who's taking a film scoring course might not need to know how to set up a studio. Maybe they already have a studio. But you wouldn't know that if you didn't go ask those people and talk to them.
And it's also like, maybe they want the part where you start talking about mixing, but they've got to sit through the whole bit where you're talking about building a studio. But they should be two separate things.
Yeah. So have you ever thought about creating like micro courses where you are just picking a very specific topic and just really honing in on that one thing? Like, I'm just going to teach you this just one technique of film scoring instead of the whole kit and caboodle?
Yeah, that's the balance. It's trying to find out, not doing too little and not doing too much. The micro course idea is something that I have thought quite a lot about. If I was planning on really going deep on the marketplace model, I think in my niche in particular, I think that would be really good. Almost like a micro subscription. I release one new low price course every month, and you buy it every month, or you can subscribe and get a new course every month on a very, very, very specific topic. I worry with that is you'd end up with kind of, and this is one of the things I think a lot of people do struggle with the marketplace model, is you end up with that course creation burnout, where you just churning out content all the time, and a lot goes into making an online course. It's there are ways of doing it simply. The way that I do it, I overcomplicate things. I know that, but it's a big thing with scripting, and then creating all the graphics and whatever else, and then editing, and then all the extra stuff like sales pages and trailers and course graphics and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot that goes into it, and doing that on a conveyor belt system, it's hard.
Yeah, I saw someone do something similar very well off of marketplaces like Udemy, because I am into Photoshop and taught it for a long time. And there's a guy that I followed, Aaron Nace from Flern, and I always kind of reference him because I kind of liked what he did. He started off simple, but he picked very kind of niche topics. So it's like what we were talking about, how to do beauty retouching in Photoshop. So he wasn't teaching you how to Photoshop. He was teaching you a very specific skill.
Yeah.
And then he created, and this was on his own platform. This wasn't on a marketplace. He was hosting these on his own site. So he created that one. Then he did a couple more. Eventually, he had a catalog of courses, maybe 10 or 12, and he was selling them all individually, $37, $47.97. Then he got to the point where he said, well, I have enough content. I'm going to turn this into a membership type thing where you can buy the courses individually, or you can save money by getting a subscription and have access to everything, which I think is a great idea. If you're the type of person that likes creating multiple courses, that's one way to go about it. Start off with a couple, and then when you have a catalog, you can do a membership. But then he took it a step further and said, then he started having other people teach courses on that topic, because it's a branded company like soundtrack.academy. His company's Flurn, so anyone can create a course on that website. And as long as it's good enough, he can put it under that membership. So I thought it was a really cool way of him taking what you said and then branching that off into a place where now he's got, I think it's solely membership. I don't know if you can even, I haven't been on the website in a while, but I think the last time I checked, you couldn't even buy individual courses. You had to get that membership, but you had access to a ton of hundreds of courses on Photoshop and all kinds of different teachers. It's almost like he made his own little mini marketplace.
Yeah. And that's great. And I think, I mean, I said about course burnout and how there's a lot that goes into it. I think a lot of it just depends on your style of creating and your style of teaching. I'm very much research driven and sort of thinking driven, which is why there's so much goes into creating a course for me. I suppose it's very content heavy. It's very talking heavy. It's very presentation heavy. That's how I've always taught, sort of through presentation. But whereas, some people I really admire, not in the online space, but in the real world, like people who I learned from, people like Brian Morell, for example. He's like a musical genius. He can literally, he has perfect pitch and he just transcribes stuff instantaneously. So for someone like him, he could easily do a monthly course like that, because it's just like, right, this week let's analyze the score from Jurassic Park, and you can do it in no problems, get that content out, and that's a great model. So it depends on how you teach. Like you said, the Photoshop thing as well. It's like, you know how to use Photoshop, but let's look at this specific tool in Photoshop for this month's training.
Yeah, very good. That's a great way of going about it. And I think you're right. I think everyone has different teaching styles and likes to go at it different ways. Some people like creating lots of courses. Some people like creating one course and focusing solely on that. Maybe it's just what meshes well with you. So let's talk for a quick minute about traffic. So what kind of strategies are you using for traffic? Are you blogging, podcasting, YouTubing, Facebook ads? Are you using any kind of organic or paid traffic methods right now?
Another big mistake that I made is just trying everything straight away from the start. And I think it's something that a trap that a lot of people fall into. And again, it's another one of those pieces of advice where I just tell myself, if only I had listened to everything I was listening to and studying at the time, because everybody says it. Don't go too broad. So yeah, I'm still working on figuring out exactly where I want my main source of traffic to come from. At the minute, it does trickle in from all over the place. I have articles that I create on the website for a long time, and still focusing on very kind of long form, very deep content. I need to work on making kind of shorter, quicker articles as well, I think, so there's a balance. But I also have a YouTube channel, and again, when I started, I said, right, I'm going to podcast every week. So I was releasing a podcast every week. So basically, when I first launched, it was a new post every week, a new video every week, and a new podcast every week. And yeah, that was hard. Plus trying to create courses on top of that as well. So yeah. So if there was advice I'd have in that space, it is pick one and focus on it. They're all good traffic sources. The thing that I'm personally battling with at the minute is it's kind of deciding over what I enjoy doing and where I know my audience is. So I know that a lot of film scoring people find their information from YouTube, because it's that's a great way to learn, particularly when it's like music production tutorials and over the shoulder composition kind of stuff. So I know a lot of my audience is on YouTube, but I prefer creating, and I'm better, I think, personally, at creating written content, like in articles and blogs. So that's my balance at the minute, is working out which direction to really focus on.
How is the traffic on the blog? Because you've had this site up for, you've had it up for a couple of years, correct? You've had this business up for a couple of years. So a lot of your articles have gone through the sandbox of Google search analysis. How are the articles doing now?
It's interesting. There's stuff that I really expect is going to do really well and doesn't, and then stuff that I've kind of thrown out and think, I'm not sure if this holds up, which has done really well. It's again the balance of, there's I'm trying to think of the best things that I've learned from this and how to describe it. Some content that you create is very good for your authority and how, and your writing style and for your website, but it might not rank very well. Other stuff ranks very well, but it doesn't really bring much business value to you. And it doesn't, there's things like, I had a couple of posts that rank quite well on my site, is like the best DAW or digital audio workstation for film scoring, or the best free sample libraries for film scoring. Those kind of best articles kind of rank quite well. But people do sign up from the mailing list from that as well. But I struggle to, the business value for those articles isn't huge, particularly because I don't do any affiliate marketing or anything. So those links don't link out to affiliate links or anything like that, because it's purely just stuff that I found that I'm sharing. So yeah, that's the tricky balance with stuff that ranks well versus stuff that's good for you.
Yeah, it's, it goes back to what we talked about earlier about kind of a general audience versus a more niche audience, because you could have the, best microphone for film scoring, but some people might read that, but it might not translate well to your course because they're really not interested in getting a course. They just want that microphone.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think no, go on.
Oh, I was going to say I've seen this myself before. Sometimes I'll create little niche websites, and I know exactly what you're talking about. You have different levels of traffic, and it's so weird to see how the articles that you put your heart and soul into don't ever seem to produce as much as the kind of crummy ones where you're like, oh, I'm just writing this real quick, and those end up taking off. Like, why is that?
Yeah. And I think the thing that I find quite frustrating is when there's a topic that I know I have something to say on, something of value, and like I know that the stuff that's already out there might not be as it's good, but it's not specifically geared towards like film scoring or specifically what I can add to that. But the people that rank for those keywords are all quite high authority websites like Classic FM and things like that, who I have no chance of really competing with. At this stage anyway. So I think that's where it's frustrating. It's like I really want to say something on that topic, but I know it's almost not worth trying.
Yeah, it's gonna get buried. You gotta keep that one until you get a little higher domain authority.
Exactly.
Well, cool, man. So where do you see soundtrack.academy going in the future? Like, if you could have all your dreams come true, what would you like for the business and the brand going forward?
That's a really great question as well. As I said, my direction has changed rapidly and many times over the last couple of years. But going forward, I would love to, just like you mentioned about the Flern company who brings in experts and things like that. I'd love the academy to go in that kind of way where I can really start to consolidate knowledge from lots of other experts and bring other experts in to share their knowledge. Almost kind of create a mini kind of masterclass site purely around film composers. So loads of different film composers come in and give mini masterclasses and mini things. That's a way that I would really quite like to see the academy go in.
Awesome, man. Yeah,
I think next week.
Yeah, you never know. Next week you're going to be going back to history classes.
Yeah.
No, that's cool, man. I hope you have tremendous success on your business and your brand. Like I said, I love the branding of your website. I always thought it was kind of cool. I've read a couple of your articles, and yeah, man, it's great to just see you create these courses and help these people out. And I just hope you have tremendous success in the future. If people wanted to find out more about you and your business, where would be the best place to do that at?
Just soundtrack.academy.
Cool. Nice and simple. I like it. And Jonny, thanks for coming on the podcast today. And it's a pleasure having you here.
Thanks so much for having me, Jeremy.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Jonny. You can find out more about him and his business by visiting soundtrack.academy. Or you can get the show notes of this episode, along with links and resources, by visiting onlinecourseigniter.com/22. See you next week for another info-packed episode. Thank you for tuning in to the Online Course Igniter podcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening so that you don't miss an episode. If you would like to learn more marketing strategies and how to sell your online course, then also check out our free community where we share tips, tricks, and tutorials at onlinecourseigniter.com/community.